Good morning, everyone. Welcome to True North. I'm Renata Marino, and I'm here to discuss overcoming adversity and pursuing our purpose. Welcome. For those of you who subscribe to my channel, thank you. The purpose of this video podcast is to share my story and specifically to help people overcome adversity and pursue their purpose. One of the topics I want to talk about today is entitled Lessons. As I've navigated through my life, both in my personal and professional career and life experiences, one of the things that occurred to me recently in the past couple of years is that every experience that we have, whether it's a work job, whether it's a relationship, whether it's just a general life experience, we should view it as a lesson. Those lessons are building blocks to refine who we are in our personal growth and to lead us to our purpose. For example, and I'll start with professional. Let's just start our first job. I don't know how many of you, but my first job, I was 14 years old. I worked in a snack bar at a local swim and tennis club, not a country club, just a general swim and tennis club. What did I learn from that? I learned counting money, responsibility, cleaning, routine, cleaning, prep, opening the snack bar. I mean, these are really simple tasks, but it's really responsibility. And I think as parents, many of us are parents, we want our children to develop these experiences early in life so they can build on each other. A disgruntled customer. How does a 14-year-old handle a disgruntled parent who has a burnt pizza? Again, that's an experience. How do you handle that? Those little micro experiences build upon each other so that when you get a disgruntled customer at age 25 and after college, your first job, you know how to handle it. Again, these are building blocks. So, you start advancing. Maybe you're a lifeguard. Maybe you teach swimming lessons. How do you get a 5-year-old who's screaming because the water's cold? How do you get them into the water? How do you handle a parent who is upset because their kid isn't progressing in the lesson, or they have to, let me take this back. How do you handle a parent who is upset that their kid did not advance to the next level in swimming because they didn't perform a certain way? How do you manage that parent at age 17? Again, these are experiences that teach us lessons. Here we go. Post-college, everybody doesn't know what they want to do in college. They think they do, they try something out. In my case, I followed the crowd, mostly the men out of undergrad, into investment banking. I said, I don't know what I want to do. It seems like everybody's doing that. I guess I'll do it. Networked my way to an entry-level job. Here we go. Networked my way to an entry-level job, deleting and adding CUSIPs, which are security numbers for mutual funds for any kind of traded security on the market. Entry-level job, literally had a, expensive private education to be able manually deleting CUSIPs at a bank. After 3 months, I said to myself internally, I need to get out of here. I need to be more challenged. Now, learning how to work in teams and learning to have humility and learning to start from the bottom, that teaches us a lesson. Knowing that you need to be more challenged and knowing that you started from the bottom and built your way up is a lesson. Opening up the phone book where they had phone books back then and finding in the glossary or in the index or whatever it's called, that there's an investment banking group. Calling the number as you're sitting at your cubicle and asking if they're hiring for an analyst. Turns out you spoke with the only female within the investment banking group, and she said, actually, we are. Why don't you send your resume? Within 2 months, you're hired. That teaches us persistence. That teaches us constant challenging. That teaches us, it's a lesson. Here's another one. Perfect example. I have 2 women in my community of female founders, Blaze and Babes. I'm going to give you one example. Spent 2 years. One woman spent maybe over a year, 18 months, I would say close to 2 years, navigating out of 20 years in corporate at a pharmaceutical company because she wasn't being challenged. She wasn't being challenged and she wanted something new. Worked with us, worked with some recruiters, navigated her way to the startup world. This is a great story. It's a lesson. It's a building block. In our career, we build upon our experiences, and we're always looking to be challenged. We're always looking for excitement, inspiration, and as we progress in our career, as we progress in our life, we get closer and closer to ultimate happiness and our purpose. 20 years in operations at a pharmaceutical company. On the side, for fun, as part of her hobbies, she received her culinary degree. Loves cooking, loves baking, loves it, her passion. She ended up joining a startup in the cannabis business. With her coupled work experience and passions, she's able to bring her operational experience in the cannabis business. However, as time goes on, after they have an IPO, which is great for her, she recognizes that the culture is not, as the company starts evolving and growing, is not a fit. Again, she takes this experience, the experience in pharma as an operator in operations, to the startup world of her passion, and now she recognizes what is the next so now she learned that it is the entrepreneurial spirit that she wants to be a part of, but it's what's most important to her is the culture of the company. Again, these are lessons that we build upon. Let's talk about personal relationships. A lot of times, people come into our life to teach us a lesson that sometimes we have to learn multiple times. In my case, understanding there's a pattern. And I think what happens is the same type of person, same type of relationship enters our life over and over again until we learn the lesson. And sometimes it takes a lifetime to figure this out. Sometimes no one figures this out. So when we start recognizing a pattern in relationships, or even in work, for example, if you're simply joining a company for the paycheck or for the maybe it's the same industry, maybe you're in the finance industry and you keep taking the same finance job, but it seems like every finance job that you're taking, it's the same culture, it's the same, you have the same feeling after 3 months. Usually it's around 3 months, whether it's a relationship or whether it's work or a job, the patterns start occurring after 3 months. You see the same thing. You have the same feeling. If it's not a good feeling, you have to recognize that you are going after the same industry, the same type of person, and there is a pattern. It's not just the other person, it's also you and your choices. And so you really have to spend a lot of time doing some self-evaluation about yourself. What are your habits? What is your way of thinking? Do some exploration, personal growth development, and some self-exploration of what do you really want in your life and what makes you happy. And whether it's work, whether it's relationships, it's very, very important to have some introspection and self-evaluation of what makes you happy and what you want in your life. One of the for work related, one of the books that I went to when I was 20, right around 25, 26, right around that age, and I was working in investment banking for 4 years. I applied to business school because investment banking is an up or out environment, meaning at least it was back in the day when I was in investment banking. In order for you to get promoted to an associate, you have to either get your CFA, Chartered Financial Analyst, or your MBA. So I applied to business school. I only applied to the top 5. I got waitlisted at University of Chicago Booth and rejected everywhere else. Stanford, Wharton, Tuck, Harvard. I think those were the ones. I was the only female analyst out of a team of 4. I was 2 women out of a team of 30, and eventually they added another partner, female partner. But in the beginning, I was 2 women out of a team of 30. But I was the only female analyst. All the other analysts were 1 year less experienced than I was, and they all got into business school. I was very humiliated. I was very, again, this is a lesson. I felt shame. I was 26. I felt depressed. And this is what I want to make sure it's clear so everyone understands. The partners in the firm, they're all men. Well, there's one woman at the time. They all knew I was applying to business school because they all wrote recommendations for me. I took the risk to tell the partners, to ask them, will you please write a recommendation for me? So they all knew I got rejected everywhere. Again, I'm going to make this statement. Investment banking is an up or out environment, meaning you need the MBA, you need that advanced degree to get promoted. Typically, this was in the past. I don't know how it is now. So I read that summer. I remember it was the summer. I was on the beach. I was at Cape Cod. I read this amazing book that I recommend to everyone who's in career transition, trying to figure out what their true purpose and passion is. It's a great workbook. They have editions I don't have a copy of it with me. I would bring it with me, but they have editions every year. It's called What Color is Your Parachute? What it does is identifies your skill sets with your hobbies. It's a matching. And literally it's pen and paper. You can't just read it. You actually have to sit and go through the exercises, and it will narrow down for you what industry, what function you should be going after. Again, it's pairing your passions with your skill sets. And where it led me was to Reebok. So since I'm a former athlete, I love working in teams. I love collaboration. I'm very analytical. I love innovation. It led me to Reebok. So I networked. This is a long story. I networked with a woman I knew was older woman. It was actually her. It was her through a neighbor who I knew that her daughter played for the New England Tennis Association. Was a professional tennis player, or was going up the professional tennis player. I think it was sponsored by Reebok. So I had asked the friend, the woman, I didn't even know who she was, to hand deliver my resume to HR at Reebok. And she did, and it was on the top of the pile, and they were laying off pretty much half the company at the time. This was 1999. And I ended up getting a job. I got a job working on a tech innovation project. And I actually was able to name it. It was called Project Phoenix. And it was really focused. I was reporting to the CEO, working on the number crunching, the financial analysis, all the financial analysis, but it was on a cross-functional team that was, you'll be able to customize, get your foot scanned in a scanner at like Dick's or at a fitness store at the back of the store with the sales associate assisting you. You step into this box, you get your foot scanned. There were not phones or iPads at the time. There were kiosks. That scanning technology was tied to a kiosk. You'd be able to log in, customize your name with your name on your shoe, the colors, and you would get a form fitted in 2 weeks, 3 weeks time. You get a form fitted, customized sneaker, running shoe, whatever you want, to your home with your name on it and whatever style you want. It was one of the greatest experiences I've had. And really, this is a key, that rejection, that I wrote this down here. Rejection is redirection. I'm going to say that again. Rejection is redirection. That rejection from business school in 2000, whenever it was, when I was 26, led me to get this unbelievable experience in tech in 1999, way before tech was even a cool thing, in new product development, in innovation, in design thinking, things that I'm investing in now. At age 26, I reapplied to business school. Not only did I get in, I expanded my search, I expanded where I was applying, but not only did I get into the University of Chicago, I got in with a partial merit-based scholarship. So again, redirection is protection. I think that's what I said. And every single experience leads us closer to our purpose, leads us closer to where we're most motivated, where we're happiest, where we contribute the most. So all these experiences are lessons. The hardest part for most of us, including myself, is the shame, is the feeling of loss, is the feeling of sadness, is the feeling of rejection, pure rejection. And I want every leader, every CEO, every speaker, I don't care if you're a man, woman, I don't care who you are, minority. I want everyone to talk about and reveal that they were rejected at one point, that they were rejected multiple times, that they were shamed multiple times, but what I want them to do and what I will do is I want tactical ways that you navigated the shame. Well, how did you get yourself out of the shame? How did you get yourself to flip the switch in your head? How did you get yourself to learn the lesson? So what I wrote here is, this is really important, and unfortunately, most of us don't see it. I did not see it this way, but now I do. Every time you get a person in your life, every time you get a storm, every time you have an actual experience and it didn't work out, where you felt shame, you felt rejection, you felt whatever you felt that's so hurtful, you should welcome that. You should welcome the storm. You should welcome that person. And if the person rejected you, if the person shamed you, if the person gaslighted you, you should welcome that. View that. Take a step back and say, this is a lesson. This is teaching me something, because I'm feeling rejected. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling not accepted. I'm feeling remorse. Whatever feelings you feel, you have to take it as a lesson. This is teaching you something. This is teaching you something, and then what you do is you space bank it. You space bank it. You put it in your pocket. You bring it out. If it happens again, the same thing, the same lesson, you have to put that lesson in your pocket. And if that same lesson, same person enters your same type, when I say person, same type of person, not the same person, the same type of person. If he or she keeps entering your life, the same archetype, you need to open up your pocket, lay out all those examples, and say, wow, there's a pattern here. Something's going on. So I'm not seeing something. What is the lesson? What is the lesson for next time, so I can say, not for me? Or you can take a new direction. Or you have to self-evaluate yourself and say, what am I not doing for myself? What am I not handling? What am I not taking care of for myself? Because I'm attracting the same type of experiences, and apparently I'm not learning the lesson. This is something that I've had to go through personally in my relationships. Also, this is something I've had to go through with figuring out the work that I want to do, the jobs that I want to take. What fills my soul? One of the things I've noticed is, I know, and I've talked to a lot of women about this, who are or were entrepreneurs and left corporate and now went back to work for a company, a startup, maybe a later stage startup, but they still realize, wait a minute, I need to do my own thing. This is not for me. I can't have a boss. I know what my passion is. I know what lights me on fire. And so it's a very interesting, sometimes we have to learn the lesson more than once to be able to take a step back and say, there's a pattern here. So I wrote down here, so the hardest part is welcoming the storm. And the hardest part, well, no, let me take that back. The hardest part is welcoming the storm. The second hardest part is, how do you manage the storm? How do you manage the feelings? So that's what I wrote down is what, and I've said this before in another podcast for True North, is we all need to have a toolbox. And what I mean by that is, what are our go-tos? What are the daily things that we can do to keep a clear perspective on, almost like training for the storms? And I'm not saying you should live your life expecting a storm, but these storms, these people, these storms, these experiences can come out of nowhere. So if you have an experience at work or whatever, how do you manage your emotions? How do you manage your reaction? How do you take a step back before reacting, or before, or even if you're not reacting, even the feelings, how do you manage those feelings so you can get a much higher perspective of, oh, wait a minute, this is a storm and this is teaching me something. So before you even make a move, or before you react, or before you figure out what your next step is, you have to take a step back and say, this is a lesson. How do I view this as something that I can space bank in my pocket so that A, I don't make the same mistake twice, and B, I can actually build upon it as a building block to refine my purpose so I can pursue my purpose and I can pursue happiness. So as we progress through life, every single experience, every single relationship, whether it's a business relationship, a personal relationship, romantic relationship, builds upon each other, and we take lessons from it. And, maybe most people understand this. I've just recently learned this, but I guess one of the most important things, and then I'm going to do cards, which I always do, is you have to trust your intuition. You have to trust your intuition. If there's a little voice in your head say, don't take that job, I don't care how much money it is, it's the same, it's in finance, it's the same archetype, it's the same, don't date that woman, don't date that man. It's the same pattern. They're going to treat you the same. They're not going to give you what you deserve. It's going to be a pattern, and it's going to be a lesson. Until you learn the lesson, you'll keep repeating it. And a lot of us ignore our intuition. What does our body tell us? How do we feel after we have an interview, after we have a coffee or a date with someone? How does our body feel? Do we feel energized, excited after this conversation, after a Zoom call, after an encounter, after a job? The other thing I wrote down here that I want to mention is good or bad job, good job. What did we learn from it? But also, even if it's a good job, even if it's a great job and we loved it, like my time at Reebok, what I took up from that was I need to be in new product development, design thinking, and innovation. I need to be able to solve a problem by creating a product, a service from just an idea and market it all the way. That was age 26, and market all the way to execution. That was age 26. I discovered that was an aha moment for me. I took that and I only focused on that for the rest of my career as an entrepreneur, as an executive in corporate, and now as an investor. When you have a plethora of, you've been doing this since age 26, now you have in various industries, tech, CPG, whatever it is, now you have such a breadth and depth of knowledge. You want to help other entrepreneurs who are doing the same thing. And again, we pursue our passion. We know what our gifts are. We know what our experiences, we build upon our experiences. We know we can go and run a company and that'll be fun, but we know at the end of the day, we're not really doing and pursuing what we love. And so trusting your intuition and not giving up and going after what we want is the end result, is where we want to get to at a point in our career where we're maximizing our skills and knowing what our purpose is. Anyway, hopefully that helps. But I encourage everyone, every time you get a storm, every time something comes into your life, a relationship and it didn't work out, or you didn't feel good about it, your gut instinct's like, Well, first of all, you need to trust your gut. You need to trust your gut, because at the end of the day, when you trust your gut, you will be happy. You will be successful. You have to trust your gut. And what I mean by your gut is, how does your body feel when you're with the person? Do they light you on fire? Do they make you a better person? Do they align with your values? And the other thing I always say to people is, when you really need to do a good job vetting the company. You need to do a good job vetting the person. You have to really see them in action, because the only way that you're really going to know if it's a good fit, whether it's a work or a relationship, is seeing them in action. Talking to a lot of people about them, how they act, what are their habits. It's really, really important. Anyway, I hope that helps. I'm going to do cards. So after the end of every True North episode, I have these cards that I pull from decks. They're random questions. They're life questions, because this podcast isn't just about career. It's about life, personal and professional, so we can pursue our purpose. and pursue happiness and overcome adversity. And really, that's what today's was on: lessons, welcoming the lessons and the experiences. Okay. First question. What will you never ever do no matter how old you become? Lie. I will never lie. I have a moral compass. At the end of the day, we're judged. We're judged on our character. We're judged on our authenticity. We're judged on our moral compass. And for me, the way I operate is it's really not about can I get away with it? And can I pull the wool over someone else's eyes? It's really about how do I feel about myself when I tell a lie? How do I feel when I'm telling a lie? I feel miserable. I feel terrible. I feel like I'm being eaten alive. You know that the show, the Netflix show, Stranger Things. I feel corroded. I don't feel good about myself. So it's really not about the other person. It's about myself. How do you stay positive? This relates to today's topic. One of the things I've instituted is, as part of my toolbox, is daily meditation, going to the beach, going near water, and really breathing, trying to calm my nervous system down if I'm upset. Doing something for myself, taking an Epsom salt bath, really investing in self-care. And what I mean by that, it could be simple things. Dressing up and looking at everything as glass half full, looking at everything as a lesson. This is teaching me a lesson. And trying to stay positive, trying to flip the switch, trying to look at everything as this is my path and things are going to work out for me. Having a really good attitude about things are going to work out for me, especially when you're feeling down in the dumps. Surrounding yourself with positive people, surrounding yourself. One of the things that really helped me stay positive in my journey from overcoming adversity is really cleaning house, reshuffling your deck. And what I mean by that is really eliminating people that are draining you. And they might be wonderful people, but unfortunately they're not on the same path. Again, they came into your life as for a reason. They're teaching you a lesson. And you can still love them from afar, but they cannot be in your physical presence because it's draining you and it's keeping you from your true north, from your purpose. And so I think pursuing and seeking out the people who motivate you to be better, who are inspiring, who are positive, and they can be all different types of people. Regular, everyday people, famous people, it doesn't matter, but these people are really positive and they have a really good influence on you. And not just what they say, but their actions. What are their daily habits? Do they exercise every day? Are they proactive health? Like how do they stay positive? And I think the more you can surround yourself with people who lift you up and support you through their actions, they show you, I think you can stay positive. I think that's critical. So be very selective in order to stay positive. Be very selective on who you let in your inner circle, who you hang out with every day. Be very selective because it's your energy and you're absorbing their energy. And this is how we stay positive. What flavor of bubblegum would you like to invent? Oh my gosh, I think my kids had this one. Coffee. I'm sure they have it. Don't they have gum that you can chew and it's like caffeine? Not that I need another cup, but I don't know if that would taste good. Hazelnut coffee bubblegum. I mean, I don't know. Where's Wrigley when you want to talk to them? What was your favorite toy when you were young? Oh, toy. Wow. Oh, okay. It wasn't the American Girl doll, but it was a doll. Her name was Shoot, what was her name? Was it Mandy? I think her name was Mandy. She was an amazing doll. How did that come up? I haven't said that. And my parents got, I think it was one of the first gifts I remember. She came in a big case where it had a handle, and I would walk around. I think I even brought her to the store. I brought the case. I bring her everywhere. She's almost like the American Girl doll, but she was not an American. She was pre-American. I mean, American Girl is amazing, but this was in the beginning. And you would open, I would sit her the case. You would open up the case, and then she would be, her whole body would be in one side, and then the other side it was a clothing rack with her clothes, and then on the bottom it was a drawer with like her shoes and whatever. And I would spend hours dressing her, talking to her. And my sister had another doll, I forgot, like almost like a sister. It was really interesting, and she was into it, but I think I was into it more. Wow, I haven't even mentioned this ever. And it's interesting. It's interesting that I played with. I played with dolls. I also was a tomboy and played soccer, and later when eighth grade. But this was really early on. She was my favorite. She was my favorite toy. A lot of imagination, a lot of role playing. Very innocent, very wholesome, very good. I have just really positive memories of spending time just dressing her and role playing. Really, it's really about like more like a caring. It was a very, taking care of something, taking care of someone, a doll. What was your biggest relationship disappointment? I think feeling unsupported. I think that's been a general lesson is relationship disappointment. I wouldn't say one person. It was really not being supported in my career, not being supported of, and I'm talking about through not just words, but actions, helping me, physically helping me as an entrepreneur, as a fund manager, making introductions for me, investing in me, making clearing the path for me, feeling supportive and feeling loved. I think when you're supported, when someone shows through action that they want to see you succeed, that's a way of showing love. And that's the way that I see love, is when somebody wants to help you. Because I give that, I do that for other people. And really without expecting anything in return. So when it isn't reciprocated, it really is one of the most disappointing what is the question? Biggest relationship disappointment. And I think deception and lies. I think what was one of the questions? I think it said, what will you never do no matter how old you become? I'll never lie. And so I think one of the hardest things for me in a relationship is lying and deceit. Whether it's someone saying, hey, I'm going to be working on my startup for this amount of years and let's get it going. We have, and then eventually, thinking it's going to be reciprocated is one, or just finding out things and feeling really hurt. I think it's a hurt. And again, it's a lesson. It's a lesson for me in those two instances. Is the lying or whatever is how do you rebuild trust with someone? How do you trust someone in general? And quite honestly, it has to be repetitive actions, consistency. In a business relationship, if someone's going to be investing in you, they need to see your track record. And what I mean by that is, how credible are you? How have you shown that you deserve to be in this industry? How have you shown that you deserve to receive a check from me? How, in a relationship, how do you prove, the person needs to prove that they deserve your time, they deserve your love, they deserve your commitment through action, consistency. It's not just a one-time thing. It's really about over time building up that trust again, and not lying, and telling the truth, consistently telling the truth. So that's an interesting question. Okay. If you're in denial about one thing, what is it? Taking responsibility for my financial success. And even if my path to where I'm going is going to take a little bit longer, figuring out how to do it creatively, so I am not off my purpose. And I think as an entrepreneur, I think as any person who's pursuing something new, building something, it's especially as a single mom and responsible for 2 children, I think it's tough. I think it's really hard. And, if you're in denial about one thing, what is it? Is being able to bootstrap or have a side hustle to be able to continue on the path of what I want to do. I don't want to say it's a denial, but it's an eye-opening, it's something that I have to manage. It's really hard. Okay, this is the girl power one. Her name is Gabby Giffords. Her quote is, "Mile by mile, it's a trial. Yard by yard, it's hard. But inch by inch, it's a cinch." This is Gabby Giffords. I'm going to read this again. This relates to pursuing our purpose and true north and building blocks and taking every single thing, every single person that enters our life, every single experience, work experience, life experience that enters our life, and see it from a higher perspective as a lesson. And it's a building block to the next thing. But when we think about tackling our dreams, and that's what I just said about pursuing my passion, I'm going to read it again. Mile by mile, it's a trial. So when you see, this is where I want to go, this is what I want to do, I want to launch a venture capital fund, this is what I want to do, and I've set everything up, it's in place. It's just harder. I see it as a daunting task. It is. Everyone is like, that is one of the hardest things you could ever do. I see it. Okay. Yard by yard, it's hard. So mile by mile, it's a trial. When you see it, you put it up there and it's like close to impossible. Most people would say that. When you break it down to a smaller segment, yard by yard, meaning like, I'm going to hit these certain smaller milestones, not tiny, medium size. It's hard. It's still hard. When people say to me, "Oh, like what you're doing is hard." Some people say what you're doing is impossible, and some people say to me, what you're doing is really hard. How's that going for you? This is what people have said to me. How's that going for you? Very belittling, not encouraging. But it says, but inch by inch, it's a cinch. Inch by inch, it's a cinch. Those of us who know how to manifest, those of us who are determined, those of us who are successful, and this is what I said at the beginning of this, is that I want leaders, I want CEOs, I want executives, I want motivational speakers to get up there and say, tell how hard it was. Talk about the shame, talk about the sadness, talk about the guilt, talk about how terrible it was. And how did you get yourself out of it? How did you flip the switch? How did you remain positive? You broke it down inch by inch. You made micro wins, daily micro wins. You cannot give up. I don't care how hard it is. I mean, those are the people who should be successful. Those are the people who will pursue their passion and pursue their purpose, that will be in loving and committed and loyal relationships. Inch by inch. Anyway, I hope that helps. Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe to my channel. I love doing this. One of the big announcements I'm making is I'm actually going to be doing my first TED Talk this year, the end of this year, on breaking generational patterns. I'm super excited. I think this True North video podcast has helped me exponentially. And not many people, or some people know this, is that prior to doing this video podcast. I had done 600 early morning Instagram videos telling my story over the past since 2019, 2020, over 600. And so the power of voice, the power of believing in yourself, the power of conviction, the power of talking, the power of words can, again, inch by inch, it's a cinch. Those are my inches. Those daily videos were my inches. And then it came into a video podcast, and now it's going to be a TEDx. You have to break it down. You have to be brave. Anyway, guys, have a great day. Bye.